Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to all our participants here in India, and good morning to people joining from Europe. My name is Samrat Kumar. I'm the country representative of Euraccess India, and on behalf of the delegation of the European Union to India and the Department of Biotechnology India, we would like to invite you for the third and last networking session on the Horizon 2020 Europe Green Deal call. Today's topic are biodiversity and ecosystem services and zero pollution toxic free environment. Before we start with the webinar session, as always, I would like to share with you briefly the rules for the webinar. So we will, please, you have the opportunity to pose your questions in the chat or in the Q&A, and we will collect your questions, and then at the end of each session, we will address them to the speakers. Please bear with us that due to time constraints, we will not be able to answer all your questions, but you are very much welcome to send us your questions directly on email. In case you face any technical issues, the first thing I would advise you is there is the possibility to log out and log in again. So try that, and that should solve most of the issues. We will send you a follow-up email with all the presentation of today's webinar and also the link to the recording. So you don't have to worry, you will be receiving all that information, including the presentations. We will also ask you to send us your feedback about the networking session and what we could improve for you in the future. And if you're looking for in partners, we will also we will share with you some partner search tools, but also we can help to facilitate a partner search. Okay. So that's for the webinar information, the rules which we have. And without further delay, I would like to welcome our speakers today, Ms. Tanja Friedrichs. She is the head of the Research Innovation section at the EU delegation. And with her is Dr. Vivek Dham, who is senior advisor at the Research Innovation section. Tanja, I would kindly ask you to give some opening remarks about today's networking session. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Samrat. And on my turn, good morning, Europe, and namaskar, good afternoon, India. Very pleased that we're having this session, thanks to the big support of Euraccess and also Vivek Dham, and unfortunately, our colleague from the Department of Biotechnology who couldn't join today. This is, as Samrat said, the third information session on calls that the Department of Biotechnology is co-funding with us. So my role here is to put a little bit the big framework. And first of all, thank you that so many scientists, researchers are hooked onto this information session today. We are facing really very big challenges, and we need more than ever scientists and innovators. And when I say that we are in challenging times, of course, everybody thinks about COVID-19, but there are many others. And in a way, it's all linked. And it is that linkage that we present as a package under what we call in Europe, the European Green Deal. That is an initiative that was taken by the new Commission under the president of Mrs. Ursula von der Leyen. When she took office, she said we need big strategies, big actions to turn again this world to a healthy planet. That was before COVID, so it's becoming even more important. Just for information, the other big commitment that we have made at European level is also to digitalize more in a fair and inclusive way. Today, we will focus on that one strand, the European Green Deal, which sets a variety of actions, also legislation, activities, consumer behavior to achieve all these objectives of greening the economy, saving our planet, to a variety of activities. And the Green Deal has in fact 8 main areas. And 8 main areas on which we work at policy level, at regulatory level, at consumer level. And what we have also said is that we will not achieve the objectives, let's say, of renewable energy or of the carbon neutral, being carbon neutral by 2015, because that is the overall objective of the Green Deal, is that Europe has pledged to be the first region to be carbon neutral, and this by 2050, that will not be realized without increased efforts on research and innovation. We need new technologies, we need new devices, we need new methods, business models, we need new and more performing monitoring and so on. And all these objectives that are part of the European Green Deal have been also translated in research and innovation actions at European level. And shortly after the publication of the Green Deal in November 2019, we already said that we would get all of funding together for research and innovation and club it under what is called now the Green Deal work program. And this is also the last work program of our European Research and Innovation Framework Program, Horizon 2020. These calls have been launched in September. And we were, again, they have calls in all these 8 areas. And the Department of Biotechnology looked at the menu and chose 5 areas in which they said that they would co-fund the successful Indian entities. So that is a unique opportunity because all cooperation, research and innovation between Europe and India is done on the basis of co-funding principle. So we're very lucky, pleased, and thank you to the Department of Biotechnology for having earmarked such important calls on which we will work together. We work together because we have to address all these societal challenges together. We have to learn from each other. And so that is in essence what is behind also this co-funding and this cooperation. It's to work together, to learn together, to transfer technology, to test and so on. And we did it on energy, we did it on farm to fork, and today we do it on 2 areas. One is the biodiversity, and the other one is then on pollution health. And on biodiversity, this is something that has come to our mind also at European level, and we have put it in a strategy in the month of May 2020, because what we realized, of course, already before COVID, but is that maybe we paid so much attention to climate change, but that was to the detriment of really taking care of Mother Nature. And we have now looked at how to do that, to save that planet. And we have also identified that this requires increased efforts on research and innovation. And the calls that we have are exactly to do that. How to save, or, well, unfortunately, it's not only saving, but it is a lot about restoring and building a more resilient ecosystem. And for this, we need technologies, services, and all that. And the modalities of the scope of the calls and the modalities of the calls of, on the one hand, the Horizon 2020 rules, on the other hand, the requirements by DBT to make a good common proposal will be explained to you by Vivek Dham, I presume, in the next presentation. My role is really that I would ask you to any proposal, any cooperation that you do, to also see it in the broader policy context, being Green Deal, biodiversity strategy, and what can Europe and India do together to speed up what we have. What we want to do is to green the economy and go back to and restore biodiversity. So looking forward to your presentations, your ideas, awareness raising session, because it has also that other dimension, which is the matchmaking. And that is a unique opportunity of
I think we lost Tanya for a second. And I think she was about to conclude her opening remarks and also stressing the importance of restoring the biodiversity of our planet.
And the modalities that Vivek will give you.
Tanya, thank you. We lost the last 10 seconds of your talk, but I think you made it very clear the importance of this call and these two topics, which are, I think, equally important to Europe and India. I would like now Vivek to start with the presentation of this, presenting the scope of these two areas of this call, and also, of course, the guidelines for participation. We will have a moderated Q&A session after that with Dr. Vivek. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Samrat. In case there is any difficulty in connection, just signal me, because apparently this net looks to be a little bit unstable. But let me know.
Your connection is working well, Vivek, so far.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I will share my slide before going to the details. Yeah, could you please confirm, is it a full screen?
Yeah, full screen. Please go ahead, Vivek.
Perfect. Thank you, Samrat. On behalf of organizing committee, let me welcome you all from Europe as well as India. We had received an overwhelming response as far as registrations are concerned. There are 150 people already registered for this event. So we are very pleased and honored with your interest. So today's topic, and we all thank for that. And today's topic, we are going to focus on two areas. So those are like biodiversity and zero pollution. So this is a joint presentation of an EU delegation. I'm representing the EU delegation and along with Tanya. And DBT is my colleague from DBT is Dr. Amit Parekh is our counterpart. So this is a joint presentation. So we will be giving you a three ideas or three way of presentation split into three parts. One is the overall objective, the policy aspect of this call, then the scope and impact of this call, and the third is modalities of application. So without going much into this thing, I will let, this is the call is under the European Green Deal, which is a part of Horizon 2020. And as already Tanya mentioned, the Commission has a very ambitious program to make Europe as a carbon neutral by 2015. Any futuristic government or any futuristic industry will step forward to implement those ideas to research and innovation, and that exactly the Commission has done with this Green Deal call. So all the calls are open on 18th of September. So what is a little bit different than regular call? That doesn't mean the earlier call didn't address that, but here the speed and the time frame is very short. In these calls, we are looking in very tangible results, greening the economy, visible to the citizen, and in very short time. Because if you see, our target is 2050, but the earlier target is 2030, which I will come to that part. And all these calls are open to the world because Commission does recognize the value of international cooperation and the, finding the solutions together. Because we are running against the time and we want the best people across the world to find the solutions which is good for the humanities. So without compromising the quality, that is the reason we are looking into the best teams across the world to join hands together. And that is why the DBT had agreed and looked into the EU as an added value for this cooperation, and they had selected 5 calls into that. So how do we go about it? How does the Commission chalk this Green Deal priorities, and how do we implement those ideas into concrete results? So what we are trying to do through this call is we are looking into pilot applications, demonstration projects. We also, because as Tanya mentioned, this is something a transformation. So we are looking a behavioral change, uptake of these new technologies into the society. So a lot of governance is needed because a lot of innovation is coming into that. We are also looking into entire value chain. We are not looking at small one part of technology or one aspect of chain. We are looking into a systematic innovations. So whole chain, we are looking into that. And we are also want to have an increase in impact and visibility of this call. As mentioned, the European Green Deal has 8 areas and 3 cross-cutting areas. So this particular calls, the biodiversity and zero pollution comes under protecting nature. So that is what we are focusing on today's presentation. So this is the 5 calls which DBT had shortlisted, which they will co-fund. We had already 2 sessions on these 3 calls. So today we are focusing in areas 7, biodiversity and ecosystems, and area 8, zero pollution, toxic-free environment. So this is what the today's topic is. But you must be wondering why biodiversity now? What is the link of biodiversity and Green Deal about? Because the economic development put an enormous burden on biodiversity, that everyone acknowledges and knows that. The motive of this topic, the inspiration of this topic comes from biodiversity is decreasing in a very alarming rate. And that is what the Commission had put this area on a fast track basis. Despite ambitious target, the Europe continued to lose its biodiversity at an alarming rate. I just took some figures and tried to understand how much is the rate exert. So the strategy itself indicates that due to the human activity, there are 60% of species and 77% of habitats shows predominant unfavorable conservation status in Europe. So this is a very serious situation. And this degradation and this lowering of biodiversity has a tremendous pressures from various factors such as agriculture, industry, fishing, you can name it more, but all are contributing and reduction, a rapid decrease in deterioration of biodiversity. So these impacts are irreversible consequences such as biodiversity loss, fragmentation, degradation of natural habitats, overall exploitation of natural resources, and proliferation of a species, a single species, which is also creating a huge problem. And all these problems, the climate change is aggravating and making it worse. So the challenge is, how do we bend this particular biodiversity loss, the trend, the curve, as soon as possible? And these are some documents which I just took it from the European Commission documents, which itself indicates how the serious problem is right now. But biodiversity is not only related to conservation, but it is underpinning various areas and various policies and achievements. It is underpinning the sustainable development goals of United Nations. This is a classical graph which you all, the figure which you all know, that is the marriage cake, which indicates how the biodiversity is interlinked in different sections. So it is key to the humanity that we all agree to that. It also has a significant impact on GDP and of global GDP. Independence between the biodiversity loss and climate change links to the pandemic. That is what we are facing right now. And the restoration of biodiversity, core part of recovery that the United Nations across the world, all the countries have acknowledged this. So coming back to the seriousness of this situation, the European Commission had come up with a new biodiversity strategy. I say new because already they had one, but they had upgraded this biodiversity strategy in May 20. Besides being we all know this significantly affecting the life and human health. According to new biodiversity strategy, that is 2030, biodiversity and nature are important economic factors with overall a global GDP depending on ecosystem services. So the EU has been active in conservation and biodiversity through various initiatives. They had a very various strategies and directions. They are implementing those under the Nature 20 2000 network for a long time. And from that document, I gathered that almost 26% of EU's land area is already protected, and 11% of EU sea is underprotected. As pointed out by the biodiversity strategy, the biodiversity performs better in protected area, so the benefits are obvious. So this is an interesting integral part of the larger Green Deal policy. If you are applying to this topic, I'm really highly recommend and advise you strongly to look into this policy paper. The links will be available in my presentation. So you must be wondering how this is related to the Green Deal. The ecosystem services of biodiversity, both sea and land, drives also in terms of carbon sink and also creating a CO2 and green gases sink. That is an integral part and very important aspect of this initiative. So very direct link to the Green Deal can be evident from this the call. So coming back to the actual call text, because this is what we are looking for and you must be interested in. So this is the area 7, the call number is 7.1, restoring biodiversity and ecosystem services. There has been quite an efforts across the Europe, across the world to restore, because the keyword here is the restore across the world. But what happens, this restoration is quite limited. The upscaling has a difficult task so far. So the challenge, what the topic has given, that the aim of this topic is upscale restoration of degraded ecosystem. So I repeat again, degraded ecosystem restoration is what is anticipated in this particular call. It is an innovation action. I will come to that, what it means, because you need to show a concrete result at the end of the project. So it is an innovation action. So it's not about basic research, or not about taking a stock of already novel solutions or new technologies, which what we are trying to understand, how do we use and how do we upscale the existing knowledge technologies to larger areas and larger ecosystems. So we anticipate around 4 to 5 projects could be funded under this particular call. It could be from the terrestrial and freshwater system and marine and coastal ecosystem, but I will give you the details in further slides. As I mentioned, this call is also primarily around undertaking large-scale demonstrations of ecosystem restoration, including heavy ground, freshwater, coastal, and marine ecosystem. That is what we are focused into that. The challenge what the Commission had given to the scientific and innovation community, that we are looking for an upscale of large-scale demonstration systems and replication of best practices ecosystem restoration. That is what we are looking into that. I don't think so. It is more about noble best practices, to be honest, because again and again, I'm telling it is about the existing deteriorated system to restore a system. But we have to look past experience, best practices on small scale restoration ecosystem, how we can multiply that, how can upscale those learnings and technologies in this particular call. So that is what the challenge is expected. This topic is also about accelerated transformative change that includes barriers in the restoration of systemic regeneration solutions for nature with solution. That is what I underline, nature-based solutions, because we don't want additional technologies which can again deteriorate the ecosystem or harm the ecosystem. As this is because this call text is a bit long. If you can go through that, it is quite difficult for me to take out all the text. So I just try to take few keywords from there which can stimulate your inquisitiveness or appetite. And I already mentioned the first 2 points, that is demonstration and upscaling. And while we are also looking for the governance and policy support under that. But there is also one important point, because this biodiversity restoration need a huge investment. Right now, this investment is fragmented on a national level, state level, or a particular project level. So what we anticipate that this investment in innovative, sustainable, and effective restoration includes through mobilizing innovative funding across sectoral collaboration that could trigger transformative change. Because we want that system to be sustainable, long-term solutions which has a consistent funding support. So this is very important aspect, and that needs to be highlighted or needs to be reflected into the call proposal. This, as I already mentioned, the call text is just an exclusive information. What we are giving is just an keyword. So please go through the call text with in details, because your interpretations may differ from ours. So we give a full liberty to scientists and innovators to find a solution on their own ideas. As I mentioned, the scope, the text is quite broad. So I have taken some important points from that text. So here is the scope which I find large-scale demonstration is required, deployed at a regional, national, and cross-border level in European territories. So because these are the calls at the moment are Europe-centric, so we are looking a restoration which the European ecosystem which are degraded already. So the Indians has the know-how, they can practice with their, and that knowledge they will acquire can be translated and transformed into the Indian ecosystem and restoration activities. The EU biodiversity strategy also restored degradation process that I already mentioned. The action should demonstrate how restoration of ecosystem and their services can be scaled up. Scaling up is an important aspect because right now these are very limited on a national or state level in collaboration with different stakeholders that deliver social and economic benefits. So continuing with the scope, what the action also should address all the following. Together with the concerned community, developing a scalability plan should include diffusion and innovation, because these are the new ways of bringing and transformation into the system. So you need all the stakeholders to be with you, including the policymakers, citizens, conservationists, scientists, innovators. So that is why this action need all of the above. Besides existing knowledge, because it is a research and innovation action, I already mentioned innovation action. So the knowledge transformation is an important part which is happening quite a lot during the life project, which I will come back to that in my next slides. So the scope also indicates that the innovative funding, the cross-sectoral collaboration is essential part of that, because that will make sustainable and effective restoration efforts. And the project consortia must have the right to understand actions to be on the areas restored, because we don't want a new players which are starting from the scratch, which people who are already engaged in these activities are highly encouraged. Additional funding or in-kind contributions are highly encouraged, and that the project should explore to that. In addition to that, the proposal should also look into the project funded, because this is a call which will fund 3 to 4 projects. So they should also develop a synergy with other existing projects so that the fragmentation is reduced. So other project funded under the European Green Deal calls are highly encouraged that you foresee those kind of a synergy development at the beginning of the project itself. So we are looking 2 types of ecosystems. One is terrestrial and or freshwater ecosystem, and the second one is coastal and marine ecosystem. So we are anticipating the proposals in these two ecosystems could be funded. This is also very important because if you are participating into this call, you are also contributing to the Convention of Biological Diversity, that's CBD, which all the, including the India and Europe and most of the countries are participating in. you're contributing to that objectives and the ambition. So this is quite an international way of working together to restore the system. The impact, which is very important aspect of this, again, this is an innovation action, as I already mentioned, not so much about coming up with the new ways, but we are looking into how the system restore can be done, but taking stock of what has already worked as a smaller scale and we can upscale. And the specific call does mention that first visible result, an example, should be seen by 2024, that is by 2024, the result should be visible. So that is what the big challenge is. The already projects which are underway, that needs to be upscaled. That is the only scope in such a short time you will able to show the result. Transformal changes supporting a just transition, that is the integral part, because there are different societal aspects are involved in this call. This is an innovation action, which means a limited scope for R&D. We are looking something TRL level 4, 5 onwards, and this has a huge funding committed by the Commission. It is 80 million euros commitment by the European Commission. So we are anticipating, the Commission think that 16 to 25 million per project could serve the project. So we can say 3 to 4 or 5 projects can be funded, but there is not any limit. It is up to the consortium to decide what exactly the amount they need. So depending on the availability of the money, the number of projects will be funded. It is a 3 years visible result should be there by 2024. Cross-cutting international cooperation is highly encouraged. The deadline for submission of proposal is 26 January, Brussels time 17 hours. So the DBT will co-fund the Indian teams as per the requirement of their work task. So as I already mentioned, this is nothing to go for the new solutions or new ecosystem. That is why I am giving you this example, because it is very important. These people must be preparing this, all the calls, and maybe in preparation of consortium. So I advise, because this has a hyperlinks, which we will share the slides with you. The project funded under the LIFE program, because that is a big program funded under the Horizon 2020, which is focused on biodiversity related aspects. So I encourage people to look into the projects funded under the LIFE program. Then there is also encouraging and very diverse project funded under the ERANET biodiversity ERANET, which is a net bio era. And then there is a repository also available, that is OPLA repository, where all the nature-based solution projects are already compiled in this website. Then the network of nature, that is fantastic, because they are also gathering a lot of projects and solutions which are already conducted under the Horizon 2020 program. So I urge all the people to look into this already co-funded projects, so they could be an potential partners which are looking at international partners to look in. So coming to the next topic, which is Area 8, Zero Pollution, Toxic Free Environment. This is a research and innovation action, basically. And under this area, there are 2 calls, and the first call is 8.1 is selected by DBT for co-funding. That is innovation, systemic zero pollution solutions to protect health, environment, and nature, natural resource from persistent and mobile chemicals. So the keyword over here is persistent and mobile chemicals. So Commission also had the strategy on chemicals, which is available on the net. It's an important document which you can look into that. So zero pollution, this is the dream that the Commission is looking for by reality by 2050. And the Europe Commission had investing, that is why the European Commission is investing almost 60 million euros into this particular call. Toxic pollution affects more than 20 million people across the world, according to the Pure Earth, that is a non-profit organization's data, which gives this figure. And there is a particular concern about chemicals that persist in the environment and accumulate in animal and human, leading to a decrease in life expectancy and disease burden. To protect the citizens and ecosystem, that we need to better understand, monitor, report, prevent the pollution of air, water, and soil. That is what we are looking into this particular call. So this call is looking, as I mentioned, the keyword is persistent and mobile chemical. So before going into the call, because it's very important to understand the context of this particular call, to draw your attention, you find I will show you the 2 slides and publications which give you what kind of chemicals we are addressing or we are referring to it. So namely the PMT, this persistent mobile chemical, persistent and toxic chemicals, and very persistent and very mobile chemicals. This is the article which is available on net, and it gives very exclusive information. I also recommend in the call text also, it refers, there is also criteria proposed by the German Federal Environmental Agency, UBA, which gives around more than 4,500 PFAS chemicals already listed into that. So it is a very great and serious problem the humanity is right now facing. So there are 2 more publications which I just find very informative, and I'm just sharing, but this is just to give you the gist of it. There are so much work is going on across the world, so I advise you to look into other publications, but these are the 2 which I specifically like more. So I selected those publications. So as this call is rapidly address the risk posed by hazardous chemical, and more specifically very persistent chemical. That is the challenge we are looking at. We are trying, our aim is to demonstrate a solution for persistent and mobile chemicals such as PFAS. The word is PFAS because probably most of them are aware of this, pre and polyfluoroalkyl substances, a group of man-made chemicals which we also call as forever chemicals. These groups are man-made chemicals that found in many consumer products such as cookware, food packaging, stain retainers, heat resistance, coating, you name it, and these chemicals are everywhere. They are discovered around 1950, and now they are used almost all sectors. You name it, and you will find it. And this becomes so serious problem because it is accumulating in environment, is accumulating in human body. I'm sure it is also accumulating in my body as well, because we are all exposed to this PFAS so frequently, and it is everywhere you will find it. That is the challenge. So this is an research and innovation action. Again, that is a lot of scope for basic research, upper and basic research. The budget is something between 40 million, so 8 to 12 million per project. We are anticipating the funding. So what is the scope of this particular call? What the project proposal should look into that? The project proposal should develop solutions. Those should lead to cost-effective prevention, monitoring, mitigation, and elimination of issues. That is what we are looking into the project proposal. They should also lead to a better understanding of environmental facts and help persistent chemicals from the human and environmental contamination. That is what we are looking into it. The project main aim includes appropriate technologies, business, governance, and social aspects should be considered into that. The bioremediation, that is also an important aspect of this particular call. Gather toxic and toxicokinetic information develop best practices for the management of the waste, because this all also will be going to help the policy makers and the governance aspect of the call. As this slide itself indicates how the PFAS is spread across the different ecosystems and are accumulating in animals and humans. So what is the expected impact? Because as I mentioned, these are all calls we are looking into a greater impact. So better understanding of persistent polluted problem. That is what we are looking into it. Also establish a new knowledge and exploring feasibility for a new and improved technologies that can demonstrate innovative solutions to protect the health, environment, and nature resource. Selected project to help advise knowledge on health impact and environmental aspects, because this information will be contributing to a lot of policy development, future policy development. It should also contribute to achieve toxic-free environment through solutions for a better load reduction of bioremediation, detection of technologies, including real-time monitoring approach. So that is the new technologies we are looking for it. We are also looking for data which can help in regulatory aspects. It can support improve risk assessment for facility, risk management, and prevention of solutions. So all this should contribute to a circular economy action plan. That is what the impact we are looking into it. This is a research and innovation. So we anticipate you can start it at tier level 2, 3, but you can end up between 4 to 5. That is pilot and demonstration innovation solutions. This is a 40 million euros call. The range for proposal could be from 8 to 12 per project. That is what the commission thinks appropriate. The Indians will be funded by the DBT. And again, I give you one example. I like this example because then you will get the gist of the call, what kind of solutions we are looking into this. This is greener, that is the call information is available. The slide will also give you the link of this particular call. This is looking into bioremediation of these PFAS chemicals, how the new fuel cell technology is reducing the PFAS chemicals. So this is about this is all about the scope, impact, and significance of the call. I will stop it here, and I take my other part of the slide is related to modalities of application. As I frequently said, it is TRL, that is technology readiness level, because all these project proposals we are looking towards upscaling towards the market uptake. So it is very important for the researchers, innovators to understand at this particular time, at the time of application, their technologies, where it stands for. And that is because it is a self-declaration in the proposal, because your assessment of the proposal all revolves around the TRL level beginning and the end. So I urge all the people to look into the TRL level definitions, go for the detailed information. I also give you the link in my presentations. So it is an integral part and crucial part of your proposal. Modalities of participation. This is very frequently asked question. As I already mentioned, these are the Horizon 2020 call. So it is a Europe driven. Was the Europe who had designed this call. So as per the Horizon 2020 European Commission's mandatory participation, minimum 3 legal organizations from 3 different European member states are mandatory. So it could be member state or associated countries. So you have approximately something 44, 45 countries to find 3 legal partners. You can have more, but the 3 is mandatory, 3 from 3 different countries. India can have 1 or more, but that is not a mandatory participation. If the Indians are there, the DBT and selected, then DBT will be funding to those. But the eligibility criteria is 3 legal entities from Europe. That is the baseline. If the Indians are there, at least 1 or more, the 1 entity should be from the public funded Indian entity. That is a mandatory, because without that they cannot release the fund. So one proposal, that is the joint or combined proposal developed by European, Indian and other partners. One European coordinator to communicate with the European Commission. If there are more than one partners from India, that is one public entity and plus others, then they should nominate one person from their consortium to communicate with the DBT. So that we call as Coordinator India. Again, the Indians are participating as an international partner, that is Article 14. I request you all to read the DBT guidelines very carefully. We have spent significant time to make those guidelines. So please follow those guidelines carefully. So who can participate? Basically, any entity who has an expertise in research and innovation or has an experience in policy development and governance can be eligible. It could be public, private, academia, research organizations, non-profit organizations, industry, be it a small, large, medium, or startup. Everyone can participate from India as well as from European. The same, it is open to participation for all kind of entities as far as they make justification of their work in the proposal. Other countries, and I already mentioned, these calls are open to the world. So any legal entity recognized in that particular country are eligible to participate. Now, after the participation, who can be funded? Who are eligible for funding? So the DBT, that is Indian funding rules, please pay attention to that. Please go through the DBT website carefully. So DBT funds 100% in grant to public and private academia, research organization, urban and other local bodies. Must have well-established research support. Proof of establishment under the Indian statute is mandatory. They should be registered at the Government of India's Public Finance Management System, that is PFMS. So these are very standard. All the universities, IITs or central and state universities or deemed universities are following this criteria. They are recognized. So you need to produce that proof. Non-profit organization, NGOs, research trust and research foundations can also participate. They should have a minimum 3 years of experience, should have an NGO Darpan registration at Niti Aayog, and DSI in-house R&D recognition is mandatory, because without that, the DBT cannot release the fund. So please make sure at the time of application, all this eligibility documentation is ready and you submit to the DBT. Who is eligible for industry side? So DBT is quite categorically mentioned that Indian company who are registered under the Company Act, where 50% of ownership should be held by the Indian citizen. So 51% should be the Indian ownership, and submission of certificate, that is Company Act, is mandatory. Certificate of DSR in-house is also mandatory, and management, that PFMS certification is also mandatory. So to get the DBT funding, you need to produce these documents and submit them. So what is the funding rate for the private and public from the DBT? For academia, public or private, it is 100% grant in support. Industry, it is, you can go for maximum 3 crores, that is 1.5 crores will come from DBT and 1.5 has to be come from the industry. So maximum 3 crores can be planned for the industry side, which 50-50 is the share of DBT and the industry. SMEs and startup can fund up to 25 lakhs. Proof of concept, that is very standard grant in aid they are operating in. Eligibility for Indian, the European under the Horizon 2020 applicable to the European countries and associated countries. So they will follow the Horizon 2020 rules. And there are 150 other countries which are developing countries can also be partner in the consortium. So they are eligible for EU funding. I request if other neighboring countries of India or you want to include as a consortium, can be look into the Annex 1 who are eligible for funding. Then industrial and emerging economies like big countries or US, Canada, they are not eligible for the EU funding. That is why the co-funding is given or committed by the government of India through DBT. So the funding rate from the European side to the European beneficiaries will be for profit in research and innovation action. It is 100% for profit and non-profit. Both are 100%. Innovation, under the innovation action for profit, the commission will provide 70%, and for non-profit it will be 100%. This is a frequently asked question by various participants. What about the UK participation? UK is eligible, UK entities are eligible to participate. They can be partner into the consortium. They are guaranteed funding from the European Commission. So please don't hesitate if the UK partners come to it. Please treat them as a regular European member state partner. So how to form a consortium? Minimum 3 legal entities, which I already mentioned, could be from member state or associated countries. 1 or more participation from Indian side would be part. Normally, these are big projects, intersectoral, multidisciplinary. So consortiums are always 8, 10, 15, entities across the different countries. They form this multilateral project. So the partners from multidisciplinary and cross-border participant is highly encouraged. We also give a lot of importance for a gender balance participation in project, participation of industry, because these are all industry oriented or market oriented, TRL level 4, 5 onwards. So it is very encouraging. The industry is an integral part of the proposal. And then the question comes, how do I find the partners? So we always advise you look into your own network, because a lot of people, bilateral collaborations, Indo-French, Indo-German, they have already established or you had studied in Europe. Those are the entities to look forward first. Those are the, because you had already built a confidence and network with those people. Also, there is plenty of information available on the website. That is, the European Commission last month had brokerage event. So those slides and recordings and are available on the website. But what I highly recommend you, when you are looking into the call on the funder and tender portal, any call you are looking at, like today's biodiversity, or you just scroll down to the call, then there is an option there, find or partner search. There are already more than 100 people or 150 entities had expressed their interest. Either they are looking for partners or available for their availability to participate in the consortium. So that is one of the very best idea to go for it. Again, EuroAccess India provides a significant support for Indian research team to find partners. So you can contact them. NCPs and regional networks are also available. Cordis is another catalog which you can look into the past projects, which also give you idea which teams are working in which sector. How to prepare a submit a proposal, that is a very important aspect, because at the end this is a combined proposal. So follow closely the guidelines of Horizon 2020 as well as the DBT. Please read carefully the topic program, the work program, and annexes and footnotes. Please write down footnotes, because these footnotes also carries a lot of important information. Respect admissibility and eligibility criteria. Be clear and explicit, because this will be evaluated based on the what you had proposed on paper. So evaluators will judge the entire proposal on the basis of the concept which you had put forward. All the selection criteria should be taken into the consideration. When you are preparing a proposal, again, in the DBT guidelines, very specifically mention how to prepare for the budget. You are going to give a budget in euros as well as in Indian rupees. The Indian rupees budget will be as per the DBT format. As I said, this is a common jointly developed proposal by Indian and European to be developed in consultation with the consortium members. Once you develop this proposal, the submission is at 2 places. First submission by European coordinator to the Horizon 2020 funder and tender portal before or on or before the 26th of January. Same copy of the proposal. Once that proposal is submitted on Horizon 2020, European coordinator will take out that proposal in a PDF format, share with the Indian coordinator, and that same proposal will be sent via email to DBT in the given address of the DBT's website. This is a peer review process. It is a very transparent, very efficient way the evaluation are conducted. Eligibility and admissibility are checked first. Evaluation by expert, independent, consensus meeting and panel review. This is very standard procedures we operate, and the results and outcomes are shared with all the partners. These are the three criteria: excellent, impact, and implementation. I urge you to go through this criteria very carefully, because your assessment is based on that. Successful proposal, some hints, because we focus and concrete on your ideas and proposals, because you will be having a 70 pages in total to put forward your ideas and different work packages maximum. You will find this all the details again in the guidelines. Build a market oriented, because these are the projects which we are looking into absorption towards and upscaling towards the market. Demonstrate a clear motive and commercial aspect of this proposals. Focused on practical impact, because impact is carrying an additional value or additional marks to this. These are some important web links or the website which we are going to share with you. And this is our last session on focus on biodiversity and zero pollution. All the presentations and the recording will be available after the session, maybe tomorrow. And I thank you all for your patient hearing. And you can contact us either on delegation or the DBT's email. We will be more than happy to help you out. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your attention for this presentation. Over to you, Samrat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vivek, for again very detailed and very well-structured presentation. Also, you provided good hints and tips how to apply, how to submit a proposal, and also how to find the partners. And this is the platform actually for those who are interested to form a consortium, to be part of a consortium, to get to know each other. We will also share the contacts of all the participants to you. This was the platform also to post questions. We did not receive much questions. Seems as the participants are aware and well prepared for the call, which is good. Seems they're confident enough to go ahead. So we just yes, Vivek.
Samrat, I just, because now there is no question, I just wanted to show where to find the partners. So that is the very consistent and regular question we receive. I just wanted to share through my screen. Are you able to see the screen? Can you confirm?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah. So if I'm at the DBT website, for example, I go to the DBT website, and this is the guidelines, and these guidelines, these are the call proposals which has been listed on the DBT's guidelines. And for example, I am looking into zero pollution. I will click to this. It directs me directly to the web page of the Horizon 2020, which gives you the entire call text. So the call text includes topic descriptions over here, specific challenges, the scope, expected impact, and again, cross-cutting priorities. All this below information are very crucial. That is very important for while preparing the calls. Then eligibility countries, this is also, and here the partners, there are right now 101 people. The entities across Europe and different countries had expressed the interest. You can enter this room, you can register your profile over here. And this is one of the best way, because this is very specific to this particular call. The people are looking for the partners. So this is the best way to look for partners. I think I will stop it here. Yeah.
Thank you, Vivek. I think this is a very good tool. And good that you showed it to us. We had one question, I think, which is, I want to be fair and address that question to you. One of the participants was asking if the DBT anticipates that demonstrator projects should be based exclusively in India.
Yeah. So this is a very good question, but at this particular moment, because India is one of the small component into the proposal, so there is no restriction, but at the call explicitly says, because specifically these biodiversity projects, where the restoration of ecosystem, the call text categorically mention European site. So the Indians will participate into that as a know-how and expertise. The other project, they can include the Indian, component into it as an India as a site. But biodiversity, I personally feel it is Europe-centric. The European interest is at the highest level, and the Indians will be contributing to that. That know-how later on can be translated and transported to India.
Okay, I think that made it very clear. And I see there are no other questions at the moment, but please feel free also to send your questions to Dr. Vivek post the webinar if questions would come up while you're going through the call details, and I'm sure some question will come up. So I would say then we just start with the flash presentations, Vivek.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay, so now what we will do is we will grant access, microphone and video access to our presenters. And while this is happening, let me tell you that we have quite some very interesting presentations today for you. In total, there will be 9 presentations. And I would like to start with Mr. Pradeep Kumar from BioStar's Ventures Expertise, Kolkata, India. Very good afternoon, Mr. Pradeep. Could you kindly unmute yourself and share your screen with us, your presentation?
Is it visible to you, sir? Good afternoon.
Yes, Mr. Pradeep. Put it in slide modus. And we kindly ask all presenters to stick to the time limit of 7 minutes. And Mr. Pradeep, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Myself, Pradeep Kumar. I'm founder and CEO of BioStar Ventures. We are working on sustainable ecosystem restoration by using bioengineering solutions. Basically, we are working on sustainable environment management solution by using bioengineering for the application of and restoration of contaminated lakes, water bodies, canals, integrated river pollution management, river embankment protection, grey water, dump site management, and low carbon city planning and biodevelopment, coastal restoration, and wetland conservation. Basically, the technology based on site-specific application of natural material to protect our natural resources and biodiversity development for toxic-free environment. The intervention required demonstration and large-scale application. We have already worked in the system for many demos already completed in various parts of India, in Calcutta, Bombay, and all. This basically a natural system by using the basic components are bioremediation, phytoremediation, phytosoil stabilization, and low carbon engineering and monitoring systems. And we are also working on the data analytics satellite index for monitoring the system. For that, we are looking for a partner from internationally. For this, needs some IoT systems so that we can justify the technology which is working very well on the ground. The bioengineering techniques are integrated with the green technology life system to create strong and durable climate resilient water soil contamination and air pollution management. These are some of the use cases. Actually, this is one lake have restored in Calcutta by using bioengineering. This was supported by Kolkata Metropolitan Development Authority and Green City Mission Government of West Bengal. This is basically the area converted as a lake converted as a market space by using boats, but unfortunately the water was getting contaminated. So these are very good usage of spaces, but the water was getting contaminated. Now this technology is accepted by KMDA and Green City Mission to use our floating structures by using the water reclamations. So already we started the work, and actually now it is giving a tangible result is showing. And we have got a various technology applications. For example, low carbon engineering called, we can use aeration by solar aeration system. So it is integrating of natural material, coir, jute, plants, microbial systems, and solar aeration system. This is basically again another project I've completed with the government of West Bengal under Irrigation and Waterways Department. There are hundreds of kilometers of canals in Calcutta, which is highly polluted, and stabilizers very difficult because they use cement blocks and other cemented materials. So instead of that, we have developed a methodology by using jute and coir and plants, which can stabilize the embankment within 3 to 4 months. This is very successfully implemented in Calcutta in various canals. We already demonstrated a 2-kilometer canal. Now, next year, planning for 8 to 10 kilometers of area we are going to restore like this. This is the latest project which I am doing in Mithi River in Mumbai with Mithi River Mumbai Metropolitan Region Development Authority. This is a very highly contaminated site, which is it is in the MMRD area, BKC area, Bandra Kurla complex area. I had a presentation with the MMRDA chairman and commissioner. There's a lot of technology applied because these are very complex system. Basically, one side is mangrove, the other side is MMRDA building commercial spaces, and the highly toxic sewage, STP, ETP, all the materials are coming there. So this is a very challenging factor there. So we have successfully done a demo there with the funded by MMRDA. Now this is going to be a large project in that area. We are looking partners for such kind of project to implement in most of the areas in various river engineering systems in India. This is another project which have irrigation department, which is a highly soil eroded area where the kaolin soil was there. This area, they was very difficult to stabilize because they can't use any boulders, they can use other material. We very successfully installed this, but around 20,000 square meter area we used to stabilize without using any kind of hard structures, this by using green engineering, by using jute, plants, and other bacterial consortiums. So this is another work very long back I completed in NTPC Dadri. Any thermal power plant in India, they're facing a problem of dumping of fly ash dump sites in a very big problem is creating because soil pollution, water pollution, and air pollution. This was very successfully done by using bioengineering to green capping. Any dump site area, any closed dump site area, we can do a green capping by using this methodology to arrest the pollution and displacement of fly ash or flying of ash within 5 to 6 months. This is very successfully done. Now the technology it is applied in Bakreshwar thermal power plant, and very shortly we are starting a project in NTPC Dadri as well as in Bokaro steel plant in Jharkhand. This is another problem which we face from the market. Actually, most of the STP, ETP, existing ETP plants, the basic problem is that they are not getting effective water quality management is not getting there. So the systems are very good, structure is very good, but they are not achieving the targets of water parameters. So we are doing a trial in one plant in Tamil Nadu by using the existing system, by using microbial consortium and bioengineering components without changing any existing infrastructures. From starting to end, we'll check the water quality management. This can enhance the water quality improvement by using these microbial systems actually. This is the, our keywords are basically into water, soil, erosion, soil pollution monitoring systems, looking for partners for large projects and applications, real-time monitoring system, water, soil, air pollution management. Our core competencies are in-house technology, site-specific technological design and project monitoring, preparation of bill of quantity, and most of this kind of projects will not have a proper bill of quantity or the terms of reference for tender documentation for e-tender for government. We provide the entire studies, e-tender process for supporting the e-tender process, and material resource management, site-specific designing, instruction support to provide, and project management monitoring. So we are looking forward to work with joint partnership with technology integration for sustainable green technology interventions for natural resource protection and restoration of rebuild the biodiversity ecosystem. Thank you so much. My name is Pradeep Kumar. This is my details. Anybody can contact me. Thank you so much. Thanks for giving the opportunity.
Mr. Pradeep, thank you so much. Exactly 7 minutes. Well done. Congratulations on that. And also congratulations on what you have achieved so far. And it seems you have been working quite actively in this area and across India. Next, we would like to welcome Professor Nandu Goswami. Medical University of Graz in Austria. Good morning to you, Professor Nandu. Could you kindly share your screen with us?
Can you see me already?
We can see you and hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you very much. So, how sharing the screen? That's here.
Must be like a green arrow showing share screen on the bottom.
At the bottom, yeah. Freigeben, yeah. Yes. Desktop, yes. Do you see it?
We see your desktop, yeah. If you could open your presentation.
Okay, and the presentation should be here.
So just put it in slide modus, yeah. Okay, all set.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for allowing me to present the work that we do, and it's an excellent opportunity. I think that we can collaborate with our Indian partners. I'm a professor of cardiovascular medicine and mainly looking at human health. So it's really exciting to hear what you mentioned about the call. I have been involved in several Horizon calls myself, so I'm aware, and I'm actually one of the reviewers for the EU Commission as well. So it's very nice that you presented, got a very nice overview, and I really look forward to an exciting collaboration with our partners from India. So like I said, the presentation is mainly on how pollution, it doesn't have to be air pollution, but different kinds of pollution, how they affect the human health. And so I think we are all aware of what pollution can do. And when we talk about air pollution, there are a lot of substances that could really affect us. So for example, not just the gaseous stuff, but also the solid and the liquid. And most of us are also aware here that we can talk really about two types of air pollutants, which is the particulate or the gaseous stuff. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because this is the area we particularly work on. And we know that especially in the area now with the COVID-19 problem, this is really affecting a lot of us because this is what we inhale. So, and we know that these two type of pollutants are really considered what we talk about, the particulate matter, that's the PM there, and the gaseous pollutant. Again, the NO2 and the BTEX, I think most of us are aware, is coming, of course, from traffic. So traffic pollution is a big problem there. But remember, at the end of the day, this is all through the air and we are inhaling all this stuff. So it's really, really important. And this call, I believe, directly fits into this because we are talking at the end of the day, if we don't take care of the environment and we have this incomplete combustion of the fossil fuels, of course, through all these activities, they could really affect us. So these are really grim statistics, really scary and really worrying because we're talking about 7 million global deaths. Now, that's pretty intense because, for example, Austria, where I'm based, the total population is 8 million. And if you're talking about 7 million global deaths, that's heavy. But unfortunately, for most of us who come from low and middle economic countries, 94% of these deaths are from such countries. So it's really important, and I'm very happy to see that India is taking a leading role in trying to see how we can solve this problem, because this is a very big problem, as we are all aware of. And remember, I keep on repeating, in terms of COVID-19, this is really one thing that really comes to the forefront. And so again, just a simple overview here. I don't want to go into too much details, but just to give you an idea what we are talking about right now. If you look at the air quality guidelines for the WHO and the European target values, for example, you can see there is quite a range here, but we don't even want to talk about the values that are currently going on, for example, in developing countries. And I think we are all aware of these values that are pretty high, and we need to really take care. Now, this slide, again, I just don't want everybody here to become doctors, but the idea simply here is that this is an overview of the massive effects. It's not just all about respiration and the breathing we talk about. We actually talk about things like diabetes. This is really scary because we already have an explosion of diabetes already in our populations in developing countries. And not just, but most people think about pollution as just having an effect on the lungs. But this is a massive effect on the cardiovascular system. People actually can get stroke and a lot of problems as well, you can see. So it's a global problem. And I think we really need to be aware of the global impact of this. So for me, what I have been hearing from today and is from what I really think we can contribute directly into the area 8, where I see specifically the aspects such as the human biomonitoring of the persistent and the mobile, the substances that we talked about, specifically the persistent and the mobile and toxic stuff. So we are directly involved in projects where we are looking at the impact of pollution. So we also work with fire workers, for example, and this is one of the, I was quite surprised to see that we talked about fire, specifically the foams associated with firefighting. This was a keyword mentioned. So this is, again, what is this impact? For example, what about the clothes that we wear and all the stain removers that we wear? What is their direct effect? Now here, I would just like to bring to the awareness of everybody listening today is that we talk about air pollution as a global problem, but there is also something called a personalized pollution, because we all agree that the way we came to the office today is quite different from everybody. Some could have come in their car, some came on their bikes, some came walking. So we could have been exposed not just to COVID-19, but also to different levels of pollution. So while we talk about global or air pollution in the city, which is the same for everybody, we also talk about personalized monitoring. And there are a lot of these studies we are currently doing. We have done them in South Africa and also in developing countries. And I would like to extend this together with our collaborators in India, because we work very closely with AIMS, New Delhi, in physiology department, where we are already working with them to see the effects of pollution and its effects on cardiovascular health. So just to summarize, not just the air pollution per se, but also personalized. In other words, addresses people where what effect this has on their pollution markers, also the cardiovascular system, and we also measure the stress in people. So heart rate and stress also in the hair, non-invasive markers, but really important. So this is what I would just say. We really look forward to collaborating in aspects that have a direct relevance for the human health. Thank you so much.
Vielen herzlichen Dank, Professor Nando. Thank you for your presentation. And also you have been exactly within the time limit, so that makes me very happy. And yeah, seems that you have a very good approach, and I'm sure there will be institutions, people interested to join hands with you in this important work. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Kuldeep K. Lal. He's the Director, National Bureau of Fish Genetic Resources, Lucknow, India. Good afternoon, Dr. Kuldeep. Yes, could you share your screen and your presentation with us, please?
Yeah, sure.
Great. You just have to put it in slide modus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it visible? Am I audible?
Yes, both visible and audible.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Kuldeep from ICR, National Bureau of Fish Genetic Resources, a public funded institution. And I'm presenting on behalf of our group of NBFGR and the Alliance of Biodiversity International and the International Center for Tropical Agriculture, which is based in France. And this concept, what I'm presenting today, it is titled Farming for Conservation, and is based on our 18 months already a planning and scoping program, what we have achieved in this work. The farming for conservation, food production has to grow because demand will grow, population will grow. But at the same time, the basis of the life, our landscapes, ecosystems are meant to remain healthy and regenerative. So if we look at from that point of view, objective of our program is to identify and deploy interventions at scale for regenerative agriculture and ecosystem services provisions in the Godavari Basin. I'll come in the next slide why we choose the Godavari Basin. before that, I would like to say that a landscape has multiple stakeholders which are diverse, which have got their local goals, individual goals. But do the landscape, the stakeholders who are multiple and have their different goals, do they follow when they extract the ecosystem services within the thresholds and the guardrails? Many times, no. There is need to balancing between the threshold to which the provisions of the ecosystem services are harvested by and benefited by the different stakeholders for the individual goals. Now, if I come to the Godavari River Basin, why we selected this? There is some basic reasons for that. Godavari, before that, I feel to say that the rivers are the lifelines. Many civilizations since time memorial has flourished, migrated along the river basins and vanished if the river basin was not available. It has happened. One of the examples is Indus Valley civilization within India. Now, but before I speak on the area of selection, I would like to say some background of this Godavari basin. It is a highly diverse basin. It's a 2% of the, it's the second largest river basin in India. This sports 6% of the Indian population. 3% of the basin area is protected. It has got 31% of the forest area, 65% cropland, and 13% of cropland are irrigated. Now, one of the grim side of this is 50% of the rural children below the age of 5 years are stunted, and or 23% might be wasting every year. And 3 states where this basin passes, Maharashtra, Telangana, and Andhra, also have the highest farmer suicide rate. And one more thing I like to say, this is very important river basin from the evolution point of view, biodiversity point of view, because and it has got a lots of native livestock, fish, and the plant crop varieties. One of the world-known Ongal bull has the native population only in this area, which is sporting the world's largest beef herd. That basal population is the Ongal bull, which belongs to this area. Now, but we select to implement our approaches in the 3 areas. Why? That is, one is Adilabad, Karimnagar, and the West Godavari. They represent the highly diverse cropping systems, highly diverse in their development. The Adilabad, it's on the multiple crops, not so developed, has a lots of reserved forest area. So you can find a good ecosystem services in good condition in that area. But Karimnagar, on the other hand, is a rice bowl. It's a single crop, majority, and lots of chemicals used in that. West Godavari, it has got all kinds of highly intensified agricultural practices, including floriculture, oil palm, and paddy, as well as it is the hub of the global export of the shrimp aquaculture, which must be using a lot of chemicals. And I would like to say that in our 18-month study, one of the indication we got of the pesticide being used, found in the river, which is corresponding in the groundwater of the nearby villages also. So there are some indication what we got from our 18-month study. Based on that, we are planning this program. Now, what are our proposed interventions in Godavari Basin? We like to study all the components of biodiversity, how the chemicals flow in that food web, what are the intricate reciprocal relationship in the food web, pollutants. Then in the watershed, how they flow between the river system and the groundwater. But do there are point and non-point sources to identify the risk factor from where actually these are flowing. Land and water use, agriculture practices, how are the farmers in these areas of study, and we'll be using that technology interventions as well as research and the ground data with the people's participation to transform into the ideas and the interpretations so that the policy decisions can be taken up, and we support this data to develop the procedures. We would like to identify under the program, quantify the ecosystem services under the different interventions, identify the guardrails of and thresholds. That means how much pollution from which source it is going in excess to TMDL, total minimum DL levels. Select the most adequate and the acceptable indicators to track the progress, and identify nature-based solutions to provide ecosystem services and stay within the guardrails. It will lead to policy and planning recommendations from the basis interventions and monitoring and business and sustainability plans. And at the same time, most important, incentive development. We mostly give the subsidies. In our 18-month study, what we are finding, subsidies may not be that useful. But in case somebody is doing the nature-based solution, can we compensate for his service to the ecosystem? Can we, rather than subsidy, can we have those kinds of incentive payments so that more people become aware of this and come into that? We are looking for healthy and productive aquatic and terrestrial ecosystem. We want to work on the reciprocity of the aquatic and terrestrial ecosystem, how they provide service to each other, and look beyond the field silos, not only one stakeholder like agriculture or aquatic system, but cross-cutting across the different fields, integrated landscape plans, what we like to call it here. Now, our keywords, as per the format I am giving, that is our landscape, agrobiodiversity, ecosystem services, and valuation. We are looking for multiple sectors collaborations, including private. It can be stakeholders interested in the dialogues and co-development and implementation of interventions in this basin. We are multidisciplinary team with high expertise in sustainable agriculture interventions, aquaculture, as well as the aquatic systems developments, as well as ecosystem services modeling in the agricultural landscapes. Our task will include technical guidance and providing science-based evidence to identify, test, value the different interventions at the farm and the landscape level. We are already in the collaboration between the national and the international center, that is Alliance of Biodiversity International and the International Center for Tropical Aquaculture, interested in improving the food system by supporting the sustainable agriculture that provides nutritious food and keep us within the planetary boundary. We want to have science-based solution for a regenerative ecosystem services where food production is not harmed, but at the same time environment is maintained, and that can be demonstrated in the field, and it is brought into the policies and procedures to be adopted in the ground stage. So I thank you very much for this opportunity. During some of the programs already we presented, and some of the institutions I shown on the left, they have shown interest in this concept in the Godavari Basin.
Thank you so much, Professor Kuldeep. I would ask now our next presenters, Dr. Upasana Ghosh and Dr. Rahi Soren from Jadavpur University, Kolkata, to share their presentations. Dr. Upasana.
Yeah, I'm just trying to share my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it visible now?
Yeah, it's visible. Just put it in slide modus.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm presenting this. I'm Dr. Upasana Ghosh, and I'm presenting this with my colleague Rahi Soren. This is a consortium built by the Public Health Foundation of India, and as well as the School of Oceanographic Studies, Jadavpur University. We are a combination of public health, working on the environmental health system, and of course, the oceanic systems of marine sciences. So our project is based on, we ideated the project as a community-led campaign to achieve a plastic-free Sundarbans. As you all are aware, that Sundarbans, we shared that this mangrove ecosystem with our neighboring country, Bangladesh. It's a very vulnerable and climate change globally known as climate change hotspot. So there are lots of biodiversity issues with the human activities, as well as with the climate and environmental degradation. So within these systems, the challenge, there are a lot of challenges, but we wish to focus in the plastic pollution of this particular region. This biosphere reserve is a UNESCO heritage site with 5 million densely populated people living there, and especially in the Indian part we are talking about. It is the destination for religious syncretism and different religious activities, as well as the tourism. It is an increasingly industry of tourism in Sundarbans. There are macroplastic pollutions due to lack of plastic management system, and there is no quantified data of any magnitude that how much plastic is there and how much people are utilizing or how much it is accumulated in the river system. So most importantly, there is no management system and there is no legislations about tackling the plastics. So ingestion of these plastics by the marine fauna and accumulation of plastics in the pristine mangrove ecosystem, this is the main issue here we found. So the solution, what we thought is a community-led initiative and which can achieve the zero plastic pollution in this biodiversity hotspot. So the rest of the slides, I'm handling the slide but will be presented my colleague Rahi. So over to you, Rahi. Please unmute yourself. I will handle the slide.
I believe Professor Rahi is not a speaker yet. We'll just have to double check.
Yeah.
Just hold on for 1 second.
Sure.
Here he is. Okay. Could we make Professor Rahi Soren a speaker as well? Please?
Yeah, I'm trying that only, but there's some issue with her ID. I'm just trying that only.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, got her. She's now joining as a panelist.
Okay. Professor Rahi, welcome to the panel. And if you could kindly unmute yourself.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, very good. Welcome. And yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So as Upashna was talking about our initiatives, initial pilot study that we had already done in past Sundarban. So here I'm taking over towards generating new knowledge, where we had looked into the fish gut fauna and a few arthropod faunas as well, and how the plastics are being ingested in small as well as in larger forms in macroplastic level as well as microplastics levels, and how their death is related to the incorporation in the food chain of the fauna in the Sundarbans, and which also leads to a major biodiversity loss. But the problem is we have not been able to quantify these at any level. So the biodiversity loss, when we are concerned with the edible fauna, is also leads to the economic loss as well. So we would like to focus on this issue and looking at the quantification of the plastic-led death of the macrofauna in crabs as well as edible fishes, which is the major livelihood sources of the people in Sundarban. With respect to that as well, we will also look at the legislation and the ecosystem services that are provided in this unique yet vulnerable ecosystem. May we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so we have come up to a kind of proposed solutions that we would look into the technological solutions to source the pollution to achieve plastic-free Sundarban. Mostly we'll be looking at the community-led initiatives as well as the women present, the self-help groups, and we would focus on the multi-level policy advocacy and community participation, which would help in the sustainable initiative in the long term. As our earlier speaker was also mentioning, the payment of services by the community to improve the health of the ecosystem will also be a major role that can be looked upon, and definitely including the communities will help in understanding their livelihood and would incorporate indigenous knowledge as well, which can be seen for the betterment of the Sundarbans as a landscape ecosystem. Next, please. So the community live in innovation action that we would like to look into for zero plastics is mostly by collection and preparing self-help groups, which we are already in connection with in the ground level project we had done earlier by Upashana. And then I think there's some interruption.
Sorry, please, others unmute your mute your mic, please.
Yeah, I'll continue. And the reduced impact of plastic as well as heavy metals in the aquatic species will look into it as well. So as the communities over there are vulnerable according to climate as well as the land erosion, as well as the use of plastic. And as Upashana has also told about the different kinds of traveling and religious gathering that happens over the place. So overall, it is a very vulnerable situation, and this vulnerability is aggravated by plastic pollution, which we would like to address. Next one, please. The technology readiness as of now we have in Jadavpur University, as we have done pilot study of the fish guts, especially the Hilsa, which is economically very important fish and is exported worldwide as well. We had done some awareness campaigns throughout the Sundarban, keeping together people and reduce the use of plastic. And but what we are not ready as of yet is detecting the quantifiable microplastic that are present inside the gut of the organisms, and definitely that can be magnified into the human system as well. And very little work has been done, and a research gap is lacking in this area. So I would like to give back the mic to Upashana to conclude the talk.
Thank you, Rahi. So basically our keywords, as you all gathered from the presentations, we'd like to focus on plastic pollution, community-based solutions, and plastic management and related legislation, and in aquatic biodiversity. We wish to collaborate with the academic and technical partners across the Europe and India, and also the NGOs and CBOs working in community-based solutions in the similar ecosystem in India and elsewhere. And there should be we're looking forward to a cross-learning and how to incorporate this learning in various countries for sustainable solution. And we of course wish to collaborate with the organization technical experts working in the plastic alternatives. So our core competencies is we are experts in biological sciences, environmental assessment, as well as community-based social sciences, basic infrastructure and acknowledge and knowledge base to carry the community-based research in the field of Sundarbans. That is our core competency. So, and we of course have the competency of assessing the plastic assessment. So this is our contact details. We would be very happy to have received comments, feedbacks, and collaborations in our project, in our research, and we are looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Upashana and Dr. Rahi. Sorry for the small technical interruption, but I think the presentation was very clear and a very good overview about what you're doing and what kind of partnerships you're looking at. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Soumya Anand. She's the manager at Inclusive Business Covestro in Mumbai, India. Welcome, Ms. Soumya, and we will share the screen for you.
Thank you.
Just let us know when we should move this. Okay?
Yeah, sure. So I'm able to see the screen now?
Yes, we can see the screen and also hear you.
Yeah, okay. So good evening, everyone. So first of all, thank you very much for this opportunity to present our solution on this platform. So this presentation, first I'll start with the Covestro, the company with which I am associated, and then I'll give a brief about the solution which is related, which is pertaining to fully circularity concept. Okay, next slide, please. So Covestro India is basically one of the world's polymer making company. It's a 12.4 billion worth company as of 2019. We are the inventor of two major chemistries. One is polyurethane and the other is polycarbonate. And the major applications of our chemistries are in automobiles, in construction, in cosmetics, in medical industry, etc. Uh, Next slide, please. Okay. So at Covestro, we have the vision to become fully circular. So it means basically, be it in our customer centricity perspective or in our production plants or in our any kind of activity, we are encouraged to follow procedures which ultimately lead us to the fully circular concept. We live by our values of curious, courageous, and colorful. And as per our values and vision, other than our regular financial target, Covestro has one major goal to impact 10 million people by 2025. And in order to achieve this 10 million people, an initiative known as Inclusive Business was started almost 7 years back at Covestro. And under this initiative, we we develop solutions in collaboration with our stakeholders, which primarily address the basic needs of underserved communities. The solutions are mentioned on the next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, so the solution under the Inclusive Business Initiative, they are primarily in the sector of food security, construction, and water. Under construction, there is a solution which brings technology uplift in fecal sludge management sector. So here in this presentation, I will be primarily focusing on the solution pertaining to fecal sludge management. But before that, I would like to give you a glimpse of how Covestro and fecal sludge management they fit together, or we can say how Covestro, what Covestro has to offer actually to the fecal sludge management sector. So next slide. So if we see on the very leftmost portion of this slide, which is a blue one, which basically speaks about a sanitation value chain. So and in sanitation, there are primarily two kinds of systems. One is seaward sanitation systems, and other is non-seaward sanitation system. So in seaward sanitation system, we all know it's like from the capture of the human feces, it is connected to seaward line and it directly goes into treatment plant. These are all underground systems. However, majority, as per speaking about India, majority of our sanitation system, they are non-seaward one, which means collection is separate and containment is separate, emptying is separate. So you have to basically develop an infrastructure which primarily connects all these three or all these things. So in a non-seaward sanitation value chain, there is a step which is called treatment. So in the slide, you can see in the dotted and circled line treatment, and from there you can see a fecal sludge treatment plant typical layout. So basically, if we speak about fecal sludge, it is highly variable in nature, and it has both solid and liquid content, which is but obvious. But in order to treat this fecal sludge, one of the major aspect is how do you dry the sludge, because the sludge which is contained, that is primarily in 80 to 10 ratio with respect to liquid to solid ratio. And this dewatering of the sludge is one of the major functions which ultimately decides the fully circular concept of the whole system. Okay, so how Covestro comes into picture? So basically, in a fecal sludge treatment plant, if you can see on the right hand side top row, yellow yellow diagram. So here you can see greenhouse sludge drying bed that is written there under the encircled pink circle. So basically, Covestro provides a solution which is based on its polycarbonate chemistry. And based on this polycarbonate chemistry, we have developed a solution which is known as greenhouse solar dryer. These are these are tunnel-shaped parabolic solar dryers which primarily use solar energy, and they increase the dehydration of the sludge by 40 to 50%. And simultaneously, they also help in pathogen inactivation of the dried sludge. Because when it comes to fecal sludge treatment plant, one of the major thing is what are you going to do with the end product? Whether you are going to use it in the agriculture, or you are going to use it as solid biofuels, or you are going to simply incinerate it. Now, speaking about India, where if we speak only about urban India, hardly 30% of the fecal sludge is treated, and rest goes into water bodies and soil bodies untreated, adding to the pollution level. So, in India, so far, based on the whatever we have witnessed in ground and from our stakeholders, we have learned that primarily these fecal sludge plants are being designed so that end product goes into co-composting and for agricultural use. So one of the objective here is that on one hand you are treating the fecal sludge, and on other hand you are using the output product, which is an excellent organic manure. So you are using that output product for soil biorejuvenation. So it's like killing two birds with one stone concept in India. So in the on the right hand side of bottom row, you can see what is the kind of solution here. So this is the kind of dryers which is there. So with these dryers, primarily what you can do, one is that you can decrease the drying time up to 50%. And second is you can decrease the pathogen, you can increase the pathogen inactivation level, which means we are able to inactivate more than 99% of the active helminth sacs which are present in the sludge. Uh, okay, moving to next slide. So if we move to next slide, it speaks about what are the benefits of using such solution. So one is technology uplift. So normally in India, what we have witnessed
Ms.
is
Soumya, sorry to interrupt, but your time is almost up. Could you kindly come to the end of your presentation? Thank you.
Yeah. So you can move to the next slide. So basically, in the end, I would just like to say that this solution is still in R&D phase, but however, we have done the very first installation in 2018, and we have very encouraged results. Only we have been able to reduce the drying time up to 40 to 50%, and simultaneously we have, as per the interim study reports, we have received that pathogen inactivation up to 99, more than 99% as per United States EPA regulation is possible with this solution. Can you move to the last slide before thank you? So primarily through this platform, what we are looking forward is to primarily to raise awareness about this technology, and we are looking for like-minded partnerships, project financing, and with this our study projects and many implementations on the ground, we are looking towards creating a sort of guidelines to set standards for treated waste so that it can directly go into agricultural field, and thus closing the overall loop of sanitation value chain. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Soumya, for your presentation. And I would now like to ask Dr. Bindu from the Nansen Environmental Research Center in Cochin, India, to share her presentation with us. Dr. Bindu, welcome.
Thank you. Is the screen?
There is an option saying share screen.
Okay.
A green one. If you press that, it should open. Yeah.
Sorry, just 1 second.
Okay, very good. So if you could put it in slide modus for us.
Yeah. So thank you for giving me such an opportunity. And myself, Bindu, I'm working in Nansen Environment Research Center. Actually, it's a private institute co-funded by Norwegian partners. And we are involved in climate change related research activities. So myself, actually, my area of interest is air pollution. Recently, I have been involved in many projects, including air pollution health aspects. Plus, nowadays, I'm doing this restoration-based activities like atmospheric carbon sequestration potential related one, and related to mangroves and also bamboo. So the two areas we have studied is one is in Wayanad, that is in Kerala, and the other one is Kannur, that was for the mangrove restoration. Actually, it was computing the carbon content of the area. So presently, because this is a biorestoration area, I would like to concentrate on the mangrove restoration. That is the study. Actually, I have conducted a preliminary study in Kunjimangalam area, that's in Kannur. I have calculated the carbon content of a small area, that is 12 acres of that area. But Kannur is having a larger area of mangroves, and at present, I am planning a study in Kannur area. Next. So what I expect is this was the study I have done in Wayanad, that is under direct aid program by Australian Commission, and the other one is CSIR initiative of Apollo, that was done in Kannur, that is in Kunjimangalam area of Kannur, for mangrove restoration. So with this awareness raising and networking event, I expect some collaborative works that could promote these type of activities, like what you say, restoration with community participation, so that I can extend it to a larger area. At the same time, can implement some other methods, which usually I follow is community participation and this restoration activity using like planting trees. But if we can collaborate with some other agency who are working in this network, we can plan some more activities which can lead to a better result. And why this work, actually why I selected Kannur is because there has been 1,200 acres of mangrove in the state, which has deteriorated in the last 2 decades. And we have selected Kannur because Kannur is having more than 45% of Kerala's mangrove system. And this is undergoing degradation mainly because of the shrimp farming and all. The shrimp farming, and at the same time, real estate mafia is also playing a role. So this could be avoided. And this is an interactive map showing the areas of mangrove in Kannur area. The objectives which I plan in the study is the combat climate change by promoting the survival of existing mangroves and increasing the acreage of coastal wetlands across the country. And this is a community-based management effort in conserving mangroves by spreading awareness involving scientific bodies and just because we already know there are some bodies working in the area, like Wild Trust of India, and there are some other agencies. And there was a prominent man called Kallan Pokkudan, he is no more. So these are, they are the main respondents of these areas. And the planned activities. Actually, I planned the activity, one is through climate change mitigation through restoration, and the other is climate change education and outreach, which can be through the participation of schools, colleges, and also like self-help groups that is in the area, that is working in the area. And the planned activities include analyze the activities of File Trust of India, which is already working in the area, and other NGOs, and identify gaps in their programs, because they are doing some work in the area, but which is not achieving much results. So we will have to identify the gaps and also work along with them, and we can input our ideas into them. Then plan a preliminary workshop involving all these people. Then using remote sensing images, we will have to identify areas of degradation in the last 2 decades, because we all already know that there is degradation going into, but we can quantify how much degradation has happened. Then documentation of various faunal species dependent on this forest, and use of biorestoration, that is actually doing, because we have done this in the case of mangroves also, bamboo also, that is in Wayanad. So biorestoration is also a part of this study. Then restoration effects involving different species of mangroves. So we will have to just not to concentrate on one type of mangroves, but a variety of mangroves. This will raise the forests that more resilient impact to climate change. Then encourage sustainable use of forest resources by making them aware of the role of mangrove, because people may not be interested in such activities, but if we give them an awareness that they can also be benefited from these activities, they will surely be interested to help this. So communities dependent on this forest can be supported to take up alternative economic activities to increase the sustainable use of mangroves. Then establishment of green belts around the buffer zone and the buffer zones in and around this mangrove forest, so that a demarcation should be there, so that encroachment can be minimized. Then a mangrove nursery and a research center, a community-based initiative comprising local people interested in environmental activities, will be planned. And then to generate scientific interest among mangroves, we can establish a mangrove interpretation center. That is a mini research center can be located to make them aware of that. Youth can be involved in that and can do basic research and education there. And the last one is climate change education and outreach. In this, actually, we plan to involve school children and also college students. So that select various groups from schools and colleges in Kannur and organize workshops, and we can plan lead talks by eminent environmentalists. During every session, the students will be given introduction to climate change issues and relevance of mangrove conservation, followed by detailed discussion of mangrove ecosystem. And they can be taken to a field experience study. This can be planned as a field trip into the neighboring mangrove conserve forest. And we expect this project to contribute to mitigation and adaptation and development to climate change brings to multitude effects, sustainable development of wetlands without creating disturbances in the ecosystem, then mangrove education center, which will be of much help, then emerging a well-aware group of community, because we are starting from the school children, so emerging a well-aware group of community can be expected. And a core research and extensive data collection. This can create a nationwide strong base of data. The data generated can be used to identify important mangrove patches and be declared as mangrove germplasm preservation centers, because we plan a mini research center also in this area for the conservation. Thank you. Other than this, actually, I have told you in the beginning itself, my area of expertise is air pollution. And recently, I am involved in air pollution health aspects also. So I was interested in the talk, Dr. Nandu. Maybe if there are calls related to air pollution health aspects, I think I can cooperate with Dr. Nandu also. And if somebody is interested in such type of activities like restoration and awareness programs, we can also collaborate. Thank you for giving me such an opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bindu. And I'm sure that this networking event will
Hello, can you hear me?
Samrat, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm Dr.
Yes, we can hear you. I'm just checking with Dr. Samrat Kumar if he's there, still there.
What?
Yeah. I think he has just dropped out. So in the same order, I think Dr. Prince Prakash Jeba Kumar, I think you are next. Can I request you to kindly unmute yourself?
Yeah.
And start sharing your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see your screen now. Can you put it in slide mode, please?
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm Dr. Prince Prakash Jabakumar. I'm working in National Institute of Ocean Technology. It is located in India. Just here a brief introduction about the institution. It is well known. We are a 25-year-old organization. We are working on something on developing reliable technologies, indigenous technologies for ocean related with ocean engineering problems. Then our main aim is how to harvest the non-living and living resources of Indian Exclusive Economic Zone. With this mandate, we are working under Ministry of Earth Sciences, Government of India. In this NIOT, we have published a new paper. Recently, we published a paper entitled "Green Methods of Stemming the Tide of Invasive Marine and Freshwater Organism by Natural Filtration of Shipping Ballast." What we are talking about is, if you are taking in seawater directly to the ship ballast tanks, it used to have a lot of microorganisms. That microorganisms contain many invasive species larval forms. These larval forms will be spread into the next boat where the ship releases ballast, deballasting. That time, the organism will spread in the non-native areas, and it used to become an alien species. Some of them become invasive aliens, and it used to spoil the ecosystem. This is what the concept. Here, the small concept is pictured on the right side of the figure. Here, this here we are insisting a system, seawater system, can utilize natural filtration capacity of the seabed, bore on the seabed and take the water, so that natural filtration capacity of the filtered seawater we're getting, that is having without any microbes or any microorganisms, any carbons. Then we can scale it up and we can utilize it. So how we are going to check that whether it is having any carbon or minute planktonic particle or not? For that also, some parameters we have included: chlorophyll, phytoplankton productivity, fish fecundity. These are some parameters, and this has to be effectively communicated. This technology is already available, and it is a working technology. This subsurface intake system, beachwell technology, it is already working in the world for desalination plants, especially those countries who are strictly adhering to the desalination, seawater desalination plants. Those countries, especially Arab countries, they did a lot of work, and considerable amount of plants are already working in Arab countries. That is in the last of the slide. I'm going to project that also. Then, if this technology is very viable and it is working, only thing it needs an adaptation. So we have to put the things into the concerned organizational things like IMO and IUC and UN. Then in India, we have to work with MOF and Ministry of Ports and Surface Transport, National Biodiversity Authority. Like that organization, we have to work it out. We have to say this is the technologies available. We have to make it as a mandatory thing, and this can be conserve our planktonic biodiversity. Is it any use in that? Before that, the proposal, this subsurface intake system, it is in conceptual stage in India, but it is very much operational in all reverse osmosis plants in worldwide. Then, what are the challenges? Here, these planktons are invisible organisms. They used to be in the large quantity, and they used to release oxygen, and intake carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. So just you can see the last slide, that down bottom of the slide, the ocean, as per the UNEP, they have declared ocean, it absorbs carbon dioxide as we generate half of the oxygen we breathe and hosts 80% of life on this planet. This main problem, this main two carbon dioxide utilization and production of oxygen is carried out by these phytoplanktons. These planktons are also very microscopic and you can't see naked eye. So it has been just, people are ignoring. They never bother about the life of this. Then their size component, if you see, it is 1 micron to 150 microns. Then these planktons, even though it's non-visible to our naked eyes, they can able to produce oxygen as well as absorb carbon dioxide, as well as they can release sulfur. These sulfur, they form clouds. These clouds can reflect sunlight and it used to reduce our global warming. Then here it's a very broad scale. Now I am narrating, bringing down to the narrow scale. What are the specific challenges I'm going to use this for this project? So here, now the plankton population has to be conserved, and there is no concern, there is no proper knowledge about these things. So in sense, since it, though in the Ministry of Environment, Forest, everybody, while doing our environmental impact assessments, we have to do all phytoplankton and zooplankton content, but it doesn't have any meaning. But still, the impact is from this. So people are, it is a necessary component of in every EAA part, and they are producing oxygen and releasing oxygen and producing oxygen and utilizing carbon dioxide. Further, even our thermal plants, especially seawater intake plants, we are having screens, everything, so we can screen the big fishes, big trashes like that. But even though we are killing a lot amount of fishes, as well as these minute organisms, planktons like microns level, it cannot be diluted. So we are having world where it is a problem of entrainment problem, impingement and entrainment. Impingement is nothing but just larger particles, small particles used to go inside and they will get entrained. So especially large amount of seawater is utilized by power plants, desalination plants, and chlor-alkali industries like allied industries. Then these ballasting operations, ballasting and deballasting operation also, they are taking considerable amount of seawater along with these organisms, and it used to get stressed, and sometimes they used to kill, and they will be released in the next water. Some others, they survive in that, and they used to form a problem of alien species. Then, what are the effects of this thing? We are facing the global warming, loss in primary productivity, so we can get a dwindling of fishery resources. And we are having the problem of, plankton productivity is also going down. Then some areas are hitting plankton blooms. Then it leads to fish kills. So many problems. Then spreading of invasive species, lot of biodiversity problems. Especially, you can see just I'm keeping here as a representative purpose. A lionfish menace, and it used to go inside alien form, and it will kill many coral reef areas. And some of the mussels, they used to go and block the intake pipelines. So a lot of problems due to this. How we are going to, with this technology, how I am going to solve. So what is the research innovation? Here, we are going to...
Dr. Prince, sorry for the intervention, but could you kindly come to the closing of your presentation? Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, demonstration large scale, this thing, 3 types of wells we are projecting here. And these are the impacts, the cost reduction of, if we are using this technology, we can reduce the inlet pipeline impacts and trash rack maintenance impact, cost, and extensive pre-treatment of pathogens, everything, it can reduce the cost. Then we are getting to marginalize the marine alien spread. We are strictly, it is going to stop 100% reduction in marine alien spread and reduce the entrainment impact that is already prevailing in current environment. as well as enhance the resilience of phytoplankton productivity, reduce the spread of harmful algal blooms. We adapted several, it is the efficient technology. Even if it is also reducing the fish fecundity rate, because small microscopic fish fingerlings and fish eggs are going inside along with the hot water pipelines, and just we get killed, and we are using our valuable fishery resources. So that can be also improved by using this technology. Then filtered seawater produce. Then if you can, we have to sensitize such of the ministries and International Maritime Organization, so that it can be make a small kind of amendments, laws, something. So using that, this technology can be enforced on people, so that it will improve the ecosystem, as well as we are going to give a very good contribution to the climate change thing by contributing higher amount of oxygen production and considerable amount of carbon reduction, as well as we are going to improve the fishery.
Sorry to interrupt. We will share the presentation with everyone. Please come to an end, because we want to be fair with everyone regarding the time limit.
Okay. Thank you. This is my contact.
Dr. Prince, thank you so much for this presentation, and please excuse the small confusion with the order of the presentations. I would now like to ask Mr. Mahesh Upal from the Ecological Concepts Private Limited, Greater Noida, to share his presentation with us. Thank you. You have to unmute yourself, Mr. Mahesh. Your mic is on mute.
Are you able to listen to me?
Yes, we can listen to you.
Screen of Mr. Prince is still shareable. Yeah.
Now you have the access to share your screen. There must be a green arrow showing on the bottom of your. Are you managing?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Okay, perfect. Yes. If you could put it in slide modus. Very good. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving us opportunity to present ourselves on this platform. This we're talking about treatment of drains, ponds, lakes, rivers through an ecological means of method, which we call it as an accelerated bio-oxygenation. It is basically a kind of, when we treat the water, the wastewater, we usually put ETP and STPs, where 4 processes do take place. First of all, there's a aeration process. Second is the flocculation, where we call it as settlement tanks are being installed. And thirdly, we do it is by bacteria induction, we do bioremediation, and then finally the disinfectation part is being done. So we do all these 4 things without putting much of the infrastructure. We just install some kind of a dosing system on a drain or on a pond, and we don't require any kind of infrastructure, and we do complete all these process without all these things, all this capex. This is what we have achieved. We developed this technology in 2015, and then we treated some ponds in Greater Noida, and then we participated in National Mission of Clean Ganga's global tender, and we awarded this tender for the pilot project in 2019, and we have completed 8 months of that pilot project, which is 11 months, and we have been, recommended by IIT Kanpur and participated in a biotechnology challenge and winner in 2019, and recommended by them to BIRAC also. And nowadays we are doing some ponds in Haryana, and I'll show the picture. I'll show you These are the ponds which we have done in Greater Noida. So there are roughly 12 ponds we have modified. They were very dirty, you can see, and they were just regenerated by the technology we use. This was one pond in Greater Noida, which was being mentioned by our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, and you can see the before and after effect of this was being mentioned by Mr. Modi in Man Ki Baat. We have been awarded in 2019 Best Startup Company for Innovation. We are a startup company registered in 2017 and incubated by IIM Lucknow in 2017. And after these trial projects, and we have been, came out of their incubation and started some scaling up. And we also participated in UNDP Global Gold Jam. We were the winner of India using this technology, letter by IIT Kanpur to BIRAC. National Mission of Clean Ganga given us a pilot project. This is a letter from them where the location was given to us. And this is on the right hand side, this is a performance and non-toxic certificate that we are not using any kind of toxic material for treating of these drains or ponds. Since a lot of pilots and a lot of demonstration has been given, so 3 states have adopted our technology, Delhi, Chhattisgarh, and UP, and they have incorporated our technology name into the tenders. These are some samples. This is our team. We have a highly educated team. The person from IIT Roorkee and PhD people, and Mr. S.K. Mehta is our advisor from Punjab University. This basically is the basic comparison of the existing technology of STPs and ETPs, where a lot of infrastructure is put in. In our case, minimum infrastructure is required. Gestation period is almost nil. Cost is very low and is an ecological green solution. Capacity constraint is not a problem and it's very effective. If you compare the cost, in case of ETPs and STPs, the capital cost is somewhere around 0.92 crore per MLD. In our case, it is in a couple of lakh only. And operational cost goes from 5.25 rupees per KL. And in our case, that is a maintenance cost of STP and ETPs. And in our case, it's just 2.5 rupees for 1 KL of whole treatment, including infrastructure. These are some proof of concepts where we have taken sample from different ponds and different drains all over northern India. And you can see the difference, water is being treated is sparkling clear water, you can see. This was the pond on a first look when we started. We started this project. This is a pond. It doesn't look like a pond. It is a totally covered with water hyacinths. And we started this pond, and this is the current situation of the pond, which is pretty clear water we can see. This is another pond we have done in Haridwar, and you can just see the difference. This is the project which we are doing in Rampur through NMCG, National Mission of Clean Ganga, Namami Gange. You can see the oxygen bubble coming out after the dosing. On the down 3 photos, you can see the dosings. It's a very simple dosing. With the pipe, we just put our material into a tank, and over a drain, the pipe is being laid out, and its dosing is by gravity is being done, and some spray dosing is also done. And you can see the effect of bubbles coming out, and water pre and post treatment water sample you can also see very clearly. The water is very clear. This is the NGT monitoring committee visited our site for approval that the water is getting clear and all that, and then we got the approvals. You can see clear water. This is my contact details. Before closing, I just wanted to show you one small video which will give you insight of what we are doing. There's a brief. Can you hear this?
No, Mr. Mahesh. How long is the video?
1 minute. Just 1 minute.
Please, if you can manage, then now. Otherwise, you can also send it to us and we can share it in the follow-up email with the presenters and participants. Yes?
Water purification and treatment field. They have been active in dealing with eminent products meant for household.
We cannot see it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Strategy to go for bigger scale involved.
Please do. Okay. Mr. Mahesh,
you have to choose the screen. You have to re-choose the screen.
Yeah, but I think we have one more presenter, and we are also coming actually towards the end of the session. So I would ask Mr. Mahesh to kindly share the video with us. We will be very happy to share it with all participants. Thank you so much, Mr. Mahesh.
Thank you, Doctor.
And now our last but not least presenter of today's webinar session is Dr. Nina Sengupta from Auroville, Tamil Nadu. Dr. Nina, welcome again to this webinar. And could you kindly unmute and share your screen with us?
I'm a pro now.
Yeah, you're a pro. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, please go ahead. Yeah, we can hear and see your slides. Thank you.
Great. So it actually went into the second slide for some reason, but I would like to read out this quotation, which I find it very relevant. Our ancient Vedic culture states that when food is right, medicine is of no need. When food is wrong, medicine is of no use. And right food comes from crops grown on healthy soil in a clean environment. This is by Dr. Ratan Lal, who I had the opportunity of collaborating in a large-scale restoration of a mine reclamation project a while back. So the aim is to document, for this particular project that I'm presenting, is to document weeds as indicator for soil type and condition. And perhaps eventually in the lines of the teaching of Masanobu Fukuoka, weeds can also serves as a guide for growing appropriate crops by showing the families. To understand some of the issues, I will be using conscious full spectrum response model. The model actually has the benefit of also identifying immediate cause, intermediate cause, and underlying cause, and believes in the system that for a lasting sustainable change, all the causes needs to be somehow be addressed and not only the immediate cause with technological solutions. I'm having some trouble with the shifting of my, okay, there, okay. The immediate cause that I identify for this is the depleting soil nutrition, abundance of weedy growths around, which are not necessarily desirable, of course, they're noxious weeds. In addition, extreme and erratic weather condition. The intermediate causes are ill-informed farming practices, lack of easy or affordable soil testing facilities, and absence of local, regional, national soil protection policy and guidelines. And of course, the underlying cause is disconnection with nature. These are the questions I'm going to put up, and I'm going to go ahead with this presentation. What are the measurable issues that show up? As we all know, and I don't want to read out each and every line, but we are experiencing huge amount of soil degradation. 71% of our agricultural land are degraded, of which about 30% of the topsoil is lost every year, which is huge. And the recommendation amount of NPK are, which is 4:2:1 usually. A survey showed that this is completely violated in many areas. Increasing and extreme weather conditions are actually making things very difficult for the farmers and to plan something and to have a plan soil conservation measures also. Oh gosh. Usual solutions are bring more land into the folds of the agriculture. This actually of course, have problems with conservation and less area for protection, or intensive agriculture in areas which are already quite highly farmed. So use of precision agricultural tools such as laser and land leveler, this would also work. But the thing is, it is not necessarily easily available for a lot of farmers. In 2015, Indian Council of Food and Agriculture has launched a soil health card scheme where the soils are tested every 3 years. This hugely helps the policy, but again, it is very difficult for farmers to always understand this and for the ICFA to actually communicate this information. So climate change and extreme erratic condition, as I said, is a big hindrance. However, must say that there are lots of wonderful efforts and experiments being done both from the government, collaborative, and NGO CBO sites in the farming areas. And these, whatever I am suggesting, would complement the efforts. How will my action be different? This would actually build upon a tool from a challenge that is already available. Like, there's lots of weed infestation, and why not use the weeds as the indicator of the soil types and changing soil conditions? So what action will I take? Will conduct a sampling of the weeds, especially that will occur in distinct patches, observes the soil condition and soil samples. And this sampling will be done locally in 3 additional unique sites in India. And similar sampling will be done elsewhere in Europe to make sure that the weeds actually what are present in India are very much the same weeds or from the same family are available across the world. And this study will actually establish the kind of weeds with the soil types and soil conditions. So I'm seeking for a collaboration with a strong soil collaboration with soil research labs and 3 distinct regions in India who are willing to do this kind of a study, and also collaborate with 3 European countries who are already doing or interested in this similar work. So this is about me, and here's my contact address. I look forward to any collaboration. Thank you so much.
Dr. Nina, thank you very much for your presentation. And we are now at the end. We have done quite I think, very interesting and diverse presentations today. And I'm sure that collaborations will be established. And I would like now to ask my dear colleagues, Tanya and Vivek, for their concluding words. Yeah, so Tanya, is it possible to join in, or Vivek?
I will just check.
Okay. Tanya, here you are. You have listened to all the presentations, and we want to hear your concluding, your judgment on this webinar.
Am I muted?
No, we can hear you. Tanya, please share your concluding words with us. Thank you.
I'm unmuted. No, sure. As you said, Samrat, I certainly listen. I will find it fascinating, the mix of ideas and contributions from India to our calls. Not easy, if I may say, because these calls are designed by Europe, Horizon 2020. They have specific techniques, specific objectives. So I repeat what I said in the beginning. We need to make sure that your contribution also fits within our objectives. And so from what I've heard, if I may, I think everybody has carefully to reread the scope of the call. Because Horizon is highly solicited, we get many submissions, so you have to be spot on in the scope of the call and the impact. and also bringing your knowledge and technology complementary to what Europe will offer, and enhance it to achieve the overall objectives either of pollution-free zones or of the restoration of the biodiversity. One thing that certainly I would like also to give as a comment, if you allow me, we can't reiterate it enough. Vivek also said it, but we discussed it, and I heard that there were questions, is that especially with the biodiversity call, all you will develop a process, a service, a technology that is to be tested and restore European biodiversity. So what is in for you is the learning of how to do it and bring it back to your biodiversity sites. So it's a bit of a, so you have to see more your contribution in the learning of the joint cooperation. There will not be testing of the new technologies in the Indian biodiversity. But let's not go into detail. I find that there was really very creative ideas and very well thought ideas that could contribute. So it will be a question of course, also of finding partners that are in the process of preparing projects. And also on that, in Vivek's presentation, we have submitted many ways to find partners. Also look at the partners that have already expressed interest, because they may have an idea and do already lack this technology or this knowledge that you may have, and that is a good way to contribute to the overall objective of the call. But certainly it goes without saying that Europe and India have a lot in common on biodiversity, if to begin with the diversity of the, and of course also on the need to restore. Certainly we in Europe, maybe you have already, you're closer to nature, so you're more sensitive to it and have done it and know how to do it. So we would be also happy to learn from you on that. So in preparing your contribution to a proposal, think about what can each other learn from each other, and not so much of the testing. And what you learn from working with us, see how it can impact and be applied or contribute to India's objectives of the biodiversity or of a healthy planet. That is maybe more than a conclusion, but I felt from what I've heard that I wanted to share these observations. And we are certainly here to continue to help finding partners. But I would say start with that after this session, this awareness raising and this beginning of matchmaking that needs to be continue to be on time for the closing session of this course on the 26th of January 2021. But also again, thank you to you, Samrat, and to all the participants for their presentations, for their ideas, and also to Vivek, who made a very comprehensive presentation and made you hopefully wiser in the modalities of such a common proposal, Horizon 2020 rules and the requirements by DBT. Those are two separate blocks, but at the end, they need to match in one and the same proposal. So best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for your valuable comments. And I think you stressed it in the beginning. You have to go back and read the call carefully and also understand what is really required and how to do the matchmaking. That's now your task, your homework. You know, we have provided you the platform for that with these networking events, and now it's up to you. But as Tanya said, and also Vivek, the EU delegation is here in the Department of Biotechnology to help you also further in this process. Deadline is approaching very fast, so this is now the time to work on this. Thank you to all the participants for your very interesting and very creative and very diverse presentations. Thank you for all the attendees who have listened from India, Europe, and the rest of the world maybe. We will see you again soon in one of our next webinars. And as we said, we will share, we'll have a follow-up email and share all the presentation and contact details of the participants today. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening here in India and a good afternoon in Europe. Bye.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.